Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Stoveside Chats. My name is Chad Blackwelder, Food Service Marketing Specialist for the Department of Agriculture, got to be NC. Thank you for joining us. Bit of a change. Amy, Alex, Andersweet, thanks for joining us. Red Line, got a bunch of people joining us. Thank you. I can't keep up. Thanks, everybody. All right, there's our guest. Wait, where'd he go? Hey, Seth.
Hey Chad, how are you?
I'm doing good. So, Seth, I was getting ready to tell everybody who was on, and here you are. This is Seth Kingsbury, Chef Seth Kingsbury. Chef, before we get into it, before we get into what you're doing, tell us a little bit about yourself and your background.
So my background has been as a chef. I spent most of my life as a chef. Cooked in high school. Got out of high school, got an awesome job at a restaurant called Nana's in Durham. Scott was a great mentor to me. I planned on going to culinary school, and he and Ben Barker from the Magnolia Grill, which is the kitchen we met in, talked me out of it. Said, you need to move to a big city and go cook there and do that instead. So I moved out to San Francisco, spent some time out there. Once again, got really lucky. Got a job working for Jeremiah Tower and Mark Franz at Stars. Ended up at their Oakville property, which is kind of plays a little bit into my passion for wine and kind of spending some formative years out there and living in Napa and learning about it. Came back to North Carolina to open a restaurant for Ben and Scott, which is how we met. When I came back to North Carolina, opened Pops for them. Did that for a while. Was executive chef for the Chapel Hill Restaurant Group. Was lucky enough to open my own restaurant, which I ran for 17 years as a chef owner, and decided in 2019 that I kind of had enough. 30 years is a long time to be a chef. I wanted to spend more time at home with my wife, and I didn't want to, I wanted to be home on the weekends. I wanted to be home on nights, and you just don't do that when you're running a restaurant. And I miss it a lot, miss it a whole lot. But I love spending time with my family and being at home.
And I did the same thing in 2014. My wife and I sold our restaurant, and we had it for almost 12 years. And
right.
Like you said, I did it for about 28 years, and man, it takes a lot out of you. And I remember when you guys sold the restaurant, which was how long ago you guys sold it?
So we sold the restaurant in December of 2019, which is, a little over, a year and a couple months ago, which talk about timing, man. Whew.
Yeah, absolutely. And I remember seeing your post on Facebook after you sold the restaurant, and just total, I knew what you were going through because you're kind of detoxing from the restaurant business and just getting back into life again and enjoying the things that are all around you. And I know that after a little bit of that time, you get a little restless. And so tell us about getting restless and starting your new business.
Yeah. So, originally my plan had been to take a couple months off, and which I did. I took most of January, which, shutting down a restaurant, as takes a month to figure out everything and kind of do all the closeout stuff you have to do. And so January and February were just supposed to be relaxing, chilling out, my family, doing a little traveling. And then I was going to start doing some consulting and private chef work. And I actually picked up a couple consulting gigs right in the beginning of March. So I worked on those with two different people. And then, as you know, COVID hit, right? So the restaurant world changed forever. And I said, okay, well, maybe I'll take 6 more months off and see what happens, right? And so I took that time off, and kind of towards the end of the middle of summer, I was just getting bored, man. I mean, there's only so much you can do, like yard work and stuff around the house and running errands, and especially in a lockdown, right? Because none of the travel that you want to do can you do. So I started thinking about, so my company was my original company was chefseth.com or chefseth.me, and that was just going to be utilizing my experience in whatever way, whether it was in your home, whether it was in a professional setting, whatever. And I decided, I'm probably not going to be going into people's homes cooking for quite some time. And so we're going to take that and the cooking classes and all that and kind of peel back. And one of the things that happened was I had a lot of my old customers from Pazzo calling me being like, hey, remember that wine you serve at the bar? Where can I get that? Hey, remember this you used to serve? Where do I get that? Um, and so I started sending my customers to other people to get wine. I said, wait a second, I can do that. I've got my sommelier certification. I know how to sell wine. I know how to pair wine. So let me check that out. And so I got with my attorney. I had a great attorney out of Asheville who specializes in ABC law, kind of helped me because what I wanted to do is not a traditional retail shop,
Mhm.
right? I don't want a 4,000 square feet shop packed full of hundreds of cases of wine, having a bunch of employees to deal with, managing all of that. I really knew that I just wanted to do something on my own. So there went to search for like a small retail space so I could do my kind of vision for a different way to buy wine. Um, and it took some convincing with the ABC department. As you know, they're awesome people to work with, but they have a lot of rules you have to follow.
Yeah.
And so with my attorney, I was able to help navigate that and start Chapel Hill Wine Hound, which is basically a wine concierge service. Now, I do have a shop. I do have limited retail hours because these are things that you have to do um, for your license.
Right.
I have to take my deliveries there. But one of the cool things was North Carolina legislation passed maybe like 2 years ago that you could start doing wine delivery in North Carolina,
Yeah.
beer and wine delivery, right? And so, don't really want to do beer delivery, but all right, wine delivery. So I started thinking about that. So what my service that I offer is I get with my clients, I do a little bit of education on our first meeting to figure out what they like. And some people are really broad, like I like dry red wines. Okay, there's a lot to choose from. Give me a price point. And so then we'll pick some stuff out. And I have other people that are very specific. A guy yesterday, I want Caymus Cab. I don't want anything else. I just want Caymus Cab. Okay, we'll get that for you too. And then I bring it to your house. North Carolina law requires that prepayment. I can't do COD, but that's fine. I mean, it's so easy to run credit cards. So we run your card and we do it. But I think the key part about what I do is educating the consumer about what they like. And that's most of my business. Most of my business is people calling me or emailing and saying, hey, these are the wines I'm interested in, but I don't really know a lot about wine. I get intimidated when I go into the big box wine stores because people are pushing me in different directions because those people have an agenda on what they're going to sell you, right? They have inventory, they have things they need to move, they have products they need to move. I'm not knocking them against that, but if you go into a wine shop and you don't know a lot about wine, it can be very, very intimidating. So my thing is like, let's take the intimidation out of it. Let's make wine drinking fun, and let me help you. And that is the majority of my clientele. And then what we do is, we'll build a case on your first order. Let's say you want a mixed case of whites and reds. I'll mix it up. You give me a little bit of guidelines and a price point. Then I bring it to you. And then it's kind of up to the consumer, how much feedback they give me on how much I can refine their selection based on their palate and their preferences.
That's
That
such a
was a
neat.
lot. Sorry.
No, hey man, you answered several of my questions right there, so I appreciate it. Now, when things start to open back up, would you think you'll provide some chef type services for people if it's asked for, or to scratch
Yeah.
that chef itch of yours, or because
Yeah, and
it's going to come a little bit?
I'm already doing that a little bit, right? Like I have one of my customers, I think you saw the video I did of spatchcocking a chicken, right? It's like,
That's
I
right. Yeah,
love
okay. Yeah.
spatchcock chicken, but I don't know how to do it. And, hey man, I'll still do that for you. I'm happy to do it. And
Yeah.
then, that led to somebody talking about how sharp my knife was and me talking about how I hate dull knives. And one of my customers, I was dropping off wine to her yesterday, and she said, hey, how much to sharpen my knives? I said, Amy, don't worry about it. Just give me the knives. I'll sharpen them for you. So,
Yeah.
I went and sharpened her knives and brought them back to her. So, which is, stuff I'm happy to do. I think as far as the chef stuff goes, one of the things I'm really looking forward to when we get out of this pandemic is doing more wine education and wine tastings, and kind of doing more food pairings and doing things like that. So yeah, I imagine that I will do. Now, do I want to do full on catering? Absolutely not. That's what catering companies are for, right? You know as well as I do that unless you have the facility for it, it's a nightmare.
That's right.
But I have worked with a friend that has a commercial restaurant in Carborough that will let me go and play in his kitchen and do stuff like that. So have the resource to do that. You know, that's the beautiful thing about being a chef in this town for 30 years is I still have all the buddies and all the friends. And I've got other
Yeah.
clients, you know, hey, Brandon, will you get me a salmon on your next seafood order? And I go break down a salmon and I take packs of salmon to some of my clients, right? Like, you know, because they can't get it good and fresh anywhere else. So, you know,
Yeah.
happy to keep doing stuff like that.
Yeah. That's really neat. And, I know that recently there's been a lot of talk about like, communal kitchens and shared space, but the chef community has kind of always been that way. And I think that surprises a lot of people because the restaurant world is very competitive, but the chefs do come together quite often to help each other out.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's the right way to say it. If you're not competitive as a chef, then you're not going to last for very long, right?
Yeah.
You got to think you're the best dude out there, and if you
Hmm.
don't, then you shouldn't be doing it. But at
That's
the same
right.
time, all the other dudes out there are all your buddies because, you know, to be honest, half of us came through up through the same kitchens in this town, right?
Yeah.
Or worked together at one point. And you know, if your buddy has run out of goat cheese and has it on his menu, he can call me, and if I have some Lady Edison goat cheese, I'm going to give it to him. Same thing as if, you know, I run out of veal and I've got a special, or I'm doing a wine dinner and I run out of a product, and or I get
Yeah.
shorted the lobster that I was supposed to get. You know, we all help each other. That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
And I think that the guys that don't help each other out don't last real long in this in small towns like this.
Yeah. I remember a couple of cases like that, years back in the restaurant business, and they're like, man, those people don't play very nice. But
Yeah.
so talking about restaurants again, really quick, what do you miss most about the restaurant business and the least, or what don't you
So,
miss?
you know, the camaraderie, right? I mean, I miss the camaraderie of the kitchen. I miss the camaraderie of the customers. You know, I miss the rush, right? I mean, you know, the adrenaline rush, man. There ain't nothing like a Friday night, that rush you get when you're pumping out plates as fast as you can and making sure everything's perfect. And, you know, it's funny. Last Tuesday, my wife and I were leaving Pilates and we drove past the Burger King, right? I was like, man, those burgers kind of smell good. Let's go make some hamburgers. And so we're trying to get dinner ready quick. And it's like I started the coals and I needed to like prep the meat, prep the lettuce, prep the tomatoes, cut the onions, cook the bacon, get the cheese, you know. And so it was just in there like as fast as I can go. And, you know, then I get it back outside and start going. I'm like, oh man, there's that rush, right?
That's right. Yeah, yeah,
You know, and there ain't nothing like that rush.
yeah.
So
You're
I
right.
definitely miss that. I miss that a lot, and I miss the camaraderie. I miss, you know, the talking smack and popping each other with towels. And I mean,
Yeah,
you know, last couple of years you weren't supposed to do that anyway, right? So that kind of had to go
that's
away.
right. Yeah, yeah,
Um, but you know, that's and the customers, right? But that's the cool thing about my wine business is I get to see the customers,
yeah.
right? So I'm still in touch with the customers, and you know, right now I've got about 40 really good clients, which is amazing because I've only been doing this for 2.5 months,
That really
and
is.
I was in the hospital and on bed rest for 3 weeks of that, right? So I'm calling it 2 months of being doing this business, and I have a lot of good, really good clients,
Yeah,
and I get a couple new clients every week, which is the perfect rate of growth for me. I didn't want to start with advertising and getting big. I'm not out. I'm not out to sell 400 cases of wine a week. That's not my goal. My goal is to provide a cool service, and a unique service to people that I want to be around and deal with. Right.
yeah. And
Um,
you've done this for a long time, man. Your interest in wine has been, around as long as your interest in cooking. I've known you for a
yeah.
long time. So you bring a lot of information to the table, and you do it very casually. You're a pretty casual guy, and wine can come off as kind of too sophisticated, which is why I wore this blue velvet jacket because of
Right.
our super sophisticated conversation. But it doesn't have to be that way. I mean, there's a lot of rules, just like kitchen folklore that can be broken.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of rules you can break in the wine world as well.
And that's kind of what I'm trying to do, man. I'm just trying to make, I've got a lot of my clients are people that come to me that have heard about me through friends and said, Seth, will you just help me? Like, I've got a lady, she's like, I love Chardonnay and I like the buttery oaky stuff, and I know I'm not supposed to, and you guys make fun of that. And I'm like, I don't care if you like buttery oaky
Yeah,
Chardonnay, right? It may not be my thing, but if that's what you like, awesome. And she said, and I hate going into the wine shops and sitting there because I always feel like people are judging me. And I always feel pressure to buy more expensive stuff. And, well, this one has this many points and it's only $5 more. And that's $5 more than I told them I wanted to spend per bottle.
yeah,
Um, my thing is it should be fun. You should have a good time with it. It shouldn't intimidate you. I mean, we used to always say in the restaurant business, right? The best bottle of wine on the list is the one you like the most, right?
Absolutely.
And it doesn't matter what it costs. And that's part of why I do more direct to consumer. So I don't carry a lot of inventory in my shop. I mean, you know, I keep a case of champagne around in case somebody forgets it's their anniversary and calls me up and it's like, dude, can you give me some champagne? Yeah, I got you covered, big guy, no problem. But most of what I do is building these custom cases for people so that I don't have an agenda, right? Like I had one lady that contacted me and she wanted me to build her a case. And so I did. And she said, you know, there's a company that I get wine from, a local company, a local wine store. And I always tell them I don't like Chardonnay. And every mixed case they do for me, it's got 2 bottles of Chardonnay. I don't understand why, Seth. And I'm like, because they want to sell you that. That's an agenda, right? I don't have that agenda. Yeah. My only agenda is to make sure you're happy and having a good time. So, you know, it's a fun gig.
It sounds like it, and it's cool that you've carved out your own way and are happy doing it. And sounds like you're moving some product, and you're working obviously outside of the triangle. I know you said you're going down to the beach. You have some clients down there, and kind of getting a little more statewide, right?
Yeah. So that was, you know, my wife and I were fortunate enough about 4 or 5 years ago to buy a little surf shack down at Atlantic Beach, which is the area of Eastern North Carolina that she's from. And I've already picked up 4 clients down there, right? Just like talking. And you know me, man, I'm an extroverted guy, right? I'm talking to everybody everywhere I go.
That's right.
And because you had to be in the restaurant business, right? Like if you weren't an extrovert in the restaurant business, you weren't going to last either.
Yeah.
And so I've got a couple clients down there, and it's awesome. And you know, I'm trying to work with a guy up in the Highlands who's building a house that has a cellar, wants me to help him with that. And you know, I mean, if you figure the Highlands is 5.5 hours from here, the beach is 3, so that's a 8.5 hour span that I'm taking and that I'm doing.
That's a big territory.
That's a big territory for wine rep, right?
Yeah, that's like people ask me, like, now how many other people do food service marketing? I'm like, just me, you know, covering the whole state. Well, listen, man, thanks for being here. Tell everybody really quick how they can get in touch with you.
Yeah, so you can email me at chwinehound, that's wine as in hound like a dog, at gmail.com. You can look me up on Facebook, Chapel Hill Winehound. You can like me on Instagram, CH Winehound, and my webpage is chwinehound.com.
Good deal. Well, thanks for being here. We really appreciate it. Congratulations with the new business. Tell your wife Amanda said hello and pet the dogs for me, and I'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Chad. I really appreciate you having me on.
Nice. Good deal.
See ya.
Okay, so that was Chef Seth Kingsbury with his new business, Chapel Hill Winehound. That was a last-minute switch. Chef Jamie Barnes, who was scheduled to come on today, had some scheduling issues with work. I certainly understand how that goes. So he's going to come on next month, the 10th, the second Wednesday of March, along with his business partner, Greg Williams from What the Fries food truck. And again, they're working on a brick and mortar restaurant in Charlotte, so that's going to be really cool. Next week, we have Chef Sam Diminich from Your Farms, Your Table in Charlotte. He's doing some really cool stuff, so that'll be a great conversation. Thank you for everybody for joining and weighing in today. We really, really appreciate it, and we'll see you next Wednesday. Bye.